Hey everyone, welcome back. This is our much anticipated moving budget video.
Now we're going to do it a little bit different.
So if you have watched any of our videos or if you know us, then you know I manage the numbers
And I do other
and he
things.
has no idea.
I do important stuff though.
Yeah, sure, but not the numbers.
Not the numbers.
So we're gonna do a little bit of a quiz format here, where I'm gonna ask him about some of our numbers, and we'll see how much he knows. But as we go along, I will show you our actual numbers for what we spent on the move, and we've broken this up into 5 categories that we're going to go through. And then at the end, we will give you the total. What do you think our total is? And spoiler alert, I told him recently, so let's see if he remembers.
I do believe we spent $20,000 on the move.
Yes, it was approximately $20,000. There are a couple of caveats which we will go over as we go along. And then the other thing I'll point out as we go along through the video is places where we did things that saved significant amount of money, so that you can ideally do those too if you care about saving money. And then also places where your numbers may vary from our numbers. And then lastly, I did this all in an Excel spreadsheet. And if you go to the description below, you can download a copy of that spreadsheet and use that to put in your own numbers and get an idea of how much a move would cost you. Oh, and one last caveat. There are some numbers that are in euros because we had to pay these in euros. This budget is in dollars. If you see a place where numbers are in euros, we did the current exchange rate, which right now is €1 to $1.17. Depending on when you move, you would probably get a much better exchange rate. But just bear that in mind when you look at some of these numbers, and I have marked in the spreadsheet when it's euros that I've converted. And so with that, let's dive right in to our first category, which is immigration related expenses. This is like immigration fees, immigration attorney, fees for getting our documents apostilled, etc. And if you're curious about apostilled, watch our video about the Gemeinde. So what do you think we spent total in this category?
I actually have no idea how much we spent on immigration, but I'm going to say we spent $1,500.
That's wrong. We spent $2,225 in this category. And right now, if you look at the screen, you can see the different things we spent money on. Now, one of the things we spent $1,300 on was an attorney to manage the DAF paperwork for us. There are loads and loads and loads of people who do this without an attorney. If I had to guess based on what I've seen in Daft groups and Reddit, I would say probably 90% of people do this without an attorney. For me, being an attorney, I felt it was very important to hire somebody who knows this area of law to do it for us. And we found that this attorney was charging half of what any other attorney was charging for covering both of our applications. So his DAFT application, my spouse application. I thought for us, it was well worth it. Yeah. If you want to spend the time to figure out your paperwork on your own, that is one place where you can save money. The immigration fees here, again, depending on when you pay it, it may be less. And then lastly are the apostille fees and getting documents fees. And we will end up spending a little bit more than this. If you watch our Gemeinde video, you'll see why, but some things we have to get updated again. But depending on where you were born, if you're married, where you got married, these fees are going to vary. For example, Ohio, it was $25 for a birth certificate and $5 to get it apostilled, versus California, where it was $20 for a marriage certificate, but another $20 to get it apostilled. So depending on the state, again, it varies massively. Any other comments or thoughts on that category?
No, it was a lot more than I thought.
All right, so next is travel expenses, and we have a really big cost-saving tip here.
Does this number include the value of the flights or not?
Spoilers.
That's fine.
No, this is the amount that
We
you and I spent.
Money out of our, okay.
So this includes things like flights for us, the cats, our luggage. It includes everything we had to do to prepare the cats to be allowed to come to the Netherlands, um, and potentially any luggage we may have purchased for the trip.
Okay. I'm going to guess between 4,200 and 4,500.
Wow.
Am I right?
No, it was $1,864. And it did just occur to me when I said this. I paid $10 cash for another piece of luggage that we bought. So technically it's $1,874, but I think you'll forgive me for that. So the first thing, and this is, if you're looking at our chart here, you will see that we paid $11 for our flights, but it was a $784 value. We do travel points hacking. I would say we are intermediate
Yeah.
travel points hackers. There are definitely people who can find way, way better deals than us. If you really want to learn about travel hacking, you should look for some videos about that. I will, or we will, record another video that is like a pretty basic travel hacking video that'll just tell you how we got these flights so cheap. The ultimate value of the flights was $784, just based on calculating how many points that we paid and what the general exchange rate is. And that we didn't fly main cabin. We flew like one upgrade from main cabin. It was Delta Comfort Plus. The next thing is the cat flights. If you're flying with a cat or a small dog that will fit underneath the seat in front of you, check the airline that you're flying and check for international flights because the price generally varies. Cats cost less on Delta for domestic flights. The other thing to know, and this is Delta specific, the cat counts as your carry-on. So all you get to bring in addition to the cat is a personal item. I bought a rolling laptop bag because the website does say a laptop bag is a personal item. And I put all our laptops in that, and I paid $10 for like a small duffel bag for
with
him.
wheels, because the wheels were important with the cats on our backs and being able to roll things around.
Yeah. So those are a couple expenses you might not have. If you are flying with children instead of cats, you could actually pay for their flights with points as well. That's not an option for the cat fee. And if you're flying with a larger dog that won't fit underneath the seat in front of you, I'm sure there are people who've done videos about that, but that gets a lot more expensive depending on what route you go with the dog. Anyway, so those are a few things. And then I like to be over inclusive with our budget. So that number also includes our lift to the vet. And then our vet fees. We paid, this was total for both cats, a little over $1,000. That included the shots that they needed. That included the paperwork they needed to get.
Wait, how much was the whole category total?
The whole category was $1,864, and most of that was the money spent on the cat's vet appointment and paperwork.
Got it.
So, of course, if we had paid for our flights, we would have been looking at about $2,500 for this category.
Okay.
And then last thing I included, which you may not need to if you don't live in a city like New York City, is we paid a fee to rent a car so our friend could drive us to the airport. So moving right along, this one, I hope that you will get a little bit closer to the number. The next category is shipping costs.
This I know.
And I know that he's well aware of what we paid to ship the pallet. What do you think our total cost was?
For the pallet?
No, for shipping costs altogether.
What else did we ship?
This is why I manage the money.
No, so the pallet was 2,500.
Uh-huh.
And we already included luggage and travel.
Well, I include everything
Okay.
that's associated with this category.
Okay. So then shipping costs, I'm going to say 2,800 because we also had to buy cling film, which you would definitely include. And you're probably also including like, what else are you including? Okay, 2,800.
All right. We will give this one to him. It's $2,942. The pallet, as he said, was $2,500. We purchased shipping insurance for $80.
Insurance.
$8,000 worth of insurance. It was $10 per $1,000 of insurance. Our bikes alone were worth like almost $7,000. So that was the real reason we got the insurance. Speaking of bikes, we spent $216 to package them and then another $105 to have them put together when we got here, which are the things you didn't think of. If you're not shipping expensive carbon fiber road bikes, you can save money there. The other thing to note is our pallet was 48 by 40. That's the standard pallet. It was 70 inches tall. It is an option to ship a pallet that is 50 or 60 inches, and that is less. And because of the height of our bicycles, we had to do a 70-inch pallet. And I'll put a link. We used expat shipping. I cannot find anybody who's remotely as inexpensive for shipping as they are.
Well, his communication was also amazing.
Yeah,
just like
it was a great
everything about the
experience.
experience was great.
And then the packing supplies, we spent about $20 on vacuum bags and tape. And then I spent another $20 mailing some stuff to my mom's house that we weren't going to bring with us. So the next category is arrival costs. And I'll just tell you what is in the category to make this a little bit easier for you. And then I'll include some caveats as well. This includes our first month's rent and deposit. The cost for our city registration, the money that we budgeted to buy new things, noting that we haven't fully used the money in this category, but I'm keeping the amount we've budgeted here, and then ride home from the airport.
Oof. So I know that at a minimum we're looking at $6,000, and the reason for that is that that's gonna be first month's rent and deposit, maybe, and then I know that I have no idea how much the ride cost us from the airport, but I'm gonna guess
Even though I'm sure I told you more than once.
More than once. Few $100s maybe. And then I don't know how much you budgeted for stuff because we're very frugal. So let's say
this includes the stuff that we bought secondhand from.
Is this the last category?
Here. Kind of.
Okay, because I should be able to do the
math. There's technically one more category and then also a couple of caveats.
If I was paying attention, I would be able to subtract things from 20,000 and get the number, but I'm going to just say $7,000.
All right. Well, if you're looking at the screen, you can see that the total is $13,667.
All right.
The first reason being you have no idea how much we paid as a deposit for our apartment. We had to pay 2 months rent deposit. So a deposit equal to 2 months rent. Plus we had to pay our first month's rent. We're living in the center in Amsterdam. So cost saving tip, if you live somewhere less central in Amsterdam, or if you live outside of Amsterdam, there are a lot of cities that are not Amsterdam in the Netherlands that people really love and that are absolutely less expensive than what we are paying here.
We also have 2 cats, so
our place is also furnished, so that's factored in. I mean, we are getting a good deal.
Really good deal. Yeah.
That the equivalent in US dollars came out to about $10,364. We budgeted $3,000 for buying new things. That includes the new stuff that we bought before we got here. We bought some stuff from the person who lived in this apartment before us, including air conditioners, which it turns out were really important. It was quite hot the week that we got here.
Really smart purchase.
Our city registration ended up costing about 157 US dollars, and our ride from the airport was 125 euros, $146. So briefly, I have a miscellaneous category. I'm not gonna quiz you on this one, but there are just 2 things I want to note. And one that I already noted, which was that we would have to pay rent in August no matter what. So even though that's included here in the total budget, it's you get that back. Like for the month of August, we didn't have to budget an amount for paying rent. It was already done. And then the other thing to note is we were living in Midtown Manhattan. We got our security deposit back, which was only 1 month's rent. So it was not as much as we had to put down here, but that's money that we're getting back. So
it offset the costs.
If you count that in our total budget, then our total budget is closer to 16 or 17,000 than 20,000. And it's really like, that's up to you if you want to count that in your budget or not. And then we ended up paying a total of about $40 in transfer and conversion fees. Some of the things that we paid for, we had to pay for upfront with euros. Like the biggest one was the rent and deposit. We had to figure out how to get euros together right away for that. And then I have technically one more category,
which is?
And this category is business costs. As we've said, we came to Netherlands on the DAFT. This is an entrepreneurship-based visa, although a very easy to navigate entrepreneurship-based visa, very different from any other entrepreneur visas that are out there. But that said, it does still require you to start a business. We paid for 2 immediate costs for the business, so I included those in our budget. So I'll let you guess how much that was, but then I'll talk a little bit more about how your costs might vary there. For you, we had an hour tax consult, and we have to pay the registration fee for your business. How much do you think that is?
Those 2 things?
Yep.
Oh, I couldn't even begin to guess.
Well, but that's what this video is. So why don't you begin to guess?
For the tax person, I think it was like $300.
Okay.
For the consult. And then to register my business, like 120.
So you think it is 420?
Yes.
It's 413.
Wow.
There's 316 for the tax consultant and 97 for the business registration. These are both things that get paid in euros, so it could be potentially, $10, $15 less depending on when you come. So one thing to note is there's 2 business types, and I'm not going to go deep into this on this video. That's not what this is about. But the BV is a lot more complex to set up, and it makes sense for people who are making significantly more, like a higher income. Depending on where you look, people will say a range of anywhere of you should be making like 70,000 a year, or you should be making 100,000 a year if you're going to apply for it. For a variety of reasons, we didn't go that route for him. We're registering the ZZP, which is just the $100 registration fee. But I will say that money that we spent on the tax consultant, that was one of the first expenses that we paid. And it was really worth it because that was how we decided to go to the ZZP route instead of the BV route. From what I saw, there were no tax consultants that did free consultations, but this one felt like a good deal. There may be some other expenses to consider. We could do another video that's all about the DAFT and what expenses we prepared for and considered. But these are the expenses that we paid out to move here to the Netherlands. So hopefully this budget has been helpful for you. Like I said, I really did try to point out the places where your expenses might be very different from ours. Some of these, your expenses will be, very similar, registrations, things like that. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed our budget video and enjoyed us quizzing him. You did get a couple of categories close enough to say that you're right.
Lucky guesses.
So 2 out of 5, and that is why I manage our finances.
Make sure you hit the comments down below and let us know if anything surprised you about the budget. And if you have any questions, let us know. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, and then just a quick reminder, there is a link to the spreadsheet down there. So if you want to do your own, grab the spreadsheet and then fill in your own information, and we'll see you next time.